The prophet stories are amazing, are amazing. We like to hear the prophet stories, prophet stories. We like to hear the prophet stories, prophet stories.
Assalamualaikum.
Walaikum assalam. How are you, children?
Alhamdulillah. We are fine. We like to hear prophet stories from you.
Okay, mashallah. That's very good. The stories of the Prophet are important for all Muslims. Inshallah, today we will learn about the Prophet Suleiman, peace be upon him. Are you ready?
Yes!
Okay, let's start. Bismillah. Prophet Suleiman, or Solomon in English, was the son of Prophet and King Dawood, peace be upon him. He was born in Jerusalem. Prophet Suleiman, peace be upon him, was very talented from his childhood. One day, when Suleiman, peace be upon him, was only 11 years old, he was with his father, Dawood, peace be upon him, in the throne room. Two men came to deal with their problem. One of them said,
"His sheep destroyed my grape field and I want justice."
Dawood, peace be upon him, asked the other person,
"Yes, sir, that is true. But I don't have any money to pay off the damage."
Hearing those two men, Dawood, peace be upon him, ordered the second man to give his sheep to the owner of the grape field to pay off the damage. But the young boy, Suleiman, peace be upon him, told his father that he had another idea to solve their problem. The owner of the sheep would work at the field until the grapes grew. In the meantime, the grape field owner would take care of the sheep and get benefits from its wool and milk. When the grape field became in a good shape as before, the field owner would take back his field and give back the sheep to its owner. Dawood, peace be upon him, became very happy for his son Suleiman, peace be upon him's judgment. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave him special knowledge to be a good judge.
Wow! He was very smart from his childhood. So, when did he become king?
Some historians say he was only 20 years old when he became king after his father, Prophet Dawood, peace be upon him's death. At that day, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala showed the people Prophet Suleiman's first miracle. Hundreds of thousands people came to Prophet Dawood's funeral. It was burning hot and a sunny day. Prophet Suleiman, the new king, ordered the birds to create a shadow to save the people from the burning sun. Millions of birds came and opened their wings to protect the people. That was the first sign of his kingdom. Let me tell you one story where you will find how smart he was. Once, there was two women who used to take care of their animals. Both of the women had a child of their own, and they were the same age. One day, both of the mothers took their baby with them and went to the field to take care of the animals. They put their babies in a spot to play. When the mothers were busy at work, a wolf came and ate one of the babies. When the mothers came back, they saw that only one baby was alive. Then both of them wanted that baby. Both of the mothers claimed that that live baby was their own. Then they went to their king. Prophet Suleiman heard their complaint. He then ordered to cut the baby in half and give half of the baby to each mother. One of the mothers cried out loud and said,
"No, don't cut the baby, please! This is not my baby! Please give that baby to that woman! Just don't kill him!"
King Suleiman, peace be upon him, realized that woman was the baby's mother. He gave the baby to the real mother.
Alhamdulillah, he was really a wise man.
Yes, he was very wise. He was also very obedient to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made him very rich and powerful. He had many great horses for his army. One evening, he came to a race to check his horses. They were very beautiful, strong, and fast horses. In the race, the horses went very far. He ordered his people to bring back the horses to him. Then he checked the necks and legs of the horses with his hand. By this time, the evening prayer was over. He felt really bad and said that he loved all the good things just because of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because he missed his prayer, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put him in a test. Prophet Suleiman, peace be upon him, became very sick. No medicine could help him. He was very weak in his throne. It was like a dead body that was sitting there in the throne room. Prophet Suleiman realized his mistake and asked forgiveness from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and requested to give him a special kingdom which no one could have in this world. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accepted his request. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave him a special power to control the jinns. He could use them to big buildings. Suleiman, peace be upon him, used some of the jinns to send them to the oceans to collect expensive diamonds and other expensive things. He could even chain some of the bad jinns as a punishment. That was a great gift that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave to Prophet Suleiman, peace be upon him.
Where can we find this story in the Quran?
You could find the highlights of this story in the Quran in chapter 38, verses 30 to 40.
But I heard a different story about those verses.
Yes, Jazakallah for mentioning that. There are different versions of the stories from these verses. Even some of the stories are old folk stories which we cannot accept. But I will tell you another version of the background story about the Quran, chapter 38, verses 34 and 35, which some scholars think that might be the real story. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows the best. Prophet Suleiman, peace be upon him, had a wish. He wanted a smart son, so after his death, his son could control his big kingdom. One time, one of his wives got pregnant and gave birth to a dead son. The servant brought back the dead son and put it on the throne. Prophet Suleiman, peace be upon him, realized that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did not like his wish for his son to be king. Prophet Suleiman, peace be upon him, asked forgiveness from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and requested him to give a special kingdom which no one could have in this world. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made him the king of men, jinns, and the birds. One day, Prophet Suleiman, peace be upon him, gathered his huge army into 3 groups. One group was an army of men. Another group was an army of jinns. And the other group was an army of birds. The army of birds were protecting the other groups from the hot sun. One time, they were going to one place, and on the way, an ant saw King Suleiman's army. The ant cried out and warned the other ants.
Run to your homes! Otherwise Suleiman and his army might crush you accidentally!
Prophet Suleiman, peace be upon him, heard the ant and smiled. He ordered his army to be very careful of the ants. Suleiman, peace be upon him, became very grateful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give him such ability to understand the ants' language and save the ants' life.
Wow! Subhanallah! Could he really understand the ants' language?
Yes, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave him so much power. He could even control the jinns who are made by fire. Prophet Suleiman, peace be upon him, used huge jinns for big constructions, huge cooking dishes, and plates. One time, he decided to rebuild and extend the Baytul Muqaddas or Masjid al-Aqsa. Now, part of the construction name is the Dome of the Rock, and another name is Solomon's Temple. Some scholars believe Prophet Yaqub, peace be upon him, built that mosque first. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows the best. Prophet Suleiman, peace be upon him, prayed to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to remove all the sins from anyone who prayed in this mosque. There are lots of blessings to pray in the Masjid al-Aqsa. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was so happy on Suleiman, peace be upon him, that one time he gave him a mine of copper. From there, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent liquid copper for him, so his workers could easily make any shape with that copper. At that time, copper was a very rare metal. Prophet Suleiman, peace be upon him, also got a special power to control the wind. Suleiman, peace be upon him, could order the wind to blow gently or very fast. This was one of his great miracles.
Wow! So how did he use the wind?
Some historians say at that time he had 2 big seaports. From there, he sent lots of ships to different places to rule his kingdom. With one seaport, he controlled the south and east countries, and the other seaport, he controlled the western countries. At that time, the ships moved by with only the power of wind. So the wind helped Suleiman, peace be upon him, to run his ships very quickly. His ships could go on a 1-month journey in just 1 morning. He could even return back that long journey in just 1 evening. He could move the air in any direction. Some scholars say after sitting on his throne, he ordered the wind to move his throne with him from one place to the other. There are also some other opinions on how he traveled a long journey with the wind in a very short time. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows the best.
It was like magic! He could go anywhere, anytime!
But it wasn't magic. Some of the bad people believed that he could do all of his work by magic. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave the answer in Surah Baqarah, verse 102. It was not magic. It was a miracle from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to a special prophet. But at that time, people used black magic to harm each other. Some bad people and jinns taught other people black magic. As you know, black magic is if you harm someone with an evil power. If someone uses black magic, he is not a believer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala anymore. During the time of Prophet Suleiman, peace be upon him, the people of Bani Israel commonly used black magic to break other families or to harm others. So, Suleiman, peace be upon him, decided to stop black magic. He ordered his armies to collect all of the writings of how to do black magic from everywhere. His different groups of armies, like men, jinns, and birds, started to collect all written black magic. Then, Suleiman, peace be upon him, buried all of the written magic under his throne, so no one could touch it.
So, black magic was destroyed after that?
During his lifetime, black magic stopped. But after his death, Iblis convinced some people to get what they thought was Prophet Suleiman's power. They dug under Prophet Suleiman's throne to find the written black magic. People lost their belief from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and started to follow the evil, Iblis.
How come the people didn't believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? That's very sad.
That is very sad. Even during Prophet Suleiman's time, there was a queen who believed the sun as her god.
We'd like to hear her story. Can you tell us, please?
One day, Suleiman, peace be upon him, was checking his huge army in front of him. But he noticed that one of the birds in his army was missing. Suleiman, peace be upon him, became very angry and decided to give a very big punishment if the bird could not give a good enough reason for its absence. Later, that small bird came to Prophet Suleiman, peace be upon him, and told him,
I have some information from the kingdom of Sheba, which you do not know.
Suleiman, peace be upon him, was interested to hear the bird. The bird informed him that the powerful kingdom of Saba, or Sheba, was ruled by a powerful queen named Bilqis. She was very rich and her throne was very beautiful. But unfortunately, the people of Sheba did not believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They worshipped the sun as their god. To check the information, Suleiman, peace be upon him, wrote a letter to the queen Bilqis. He told the bird to drop the letter in front of the queen secretly. After the bird dropped the letter, it hid to see the queen's reaction. The queen read the letter and called his advisors, and she told them, I got a letter from Suleiman, and the letter started with the name of Allah, who is the most loving and kind. He told me to accept Allah as the true God and obey His order. One of the advisors told her that they were a very strong nation and a good fighter, but as a queen, she needed to make the decision. Queen Bilqis was smart. She did not want any war, so she sent some very expensive gifts to Suleiman, peace be upon him, to bring the peace and friendship between the two countries.
She was very wise. I'm curious, where was the kingdom of Sheba?
Yes, it was in Yemen. Some historians say that Ethiopia was also part of the Sheba kingdom. Queen Bilqis was one of the most powerful rulers from Africa. When Prophet Suleiman, peace be upon him, saw the very expensive gifts for him from Bilqis, he refused to accept the gift. He told the people to take back the gift because they could not buy him with any gifts. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave him more. He sent the message to the queen to accept Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as their God. Otherwise, his strong army would attack their kingdom and she would be a loser. The queen's people went back to inform her about the extremely powerful kingdom and Prophet Suleiman, peace be upon him. They informed her about the army he had. It was the most powerful army in the world. No one could defeat them. Hearing that, the queen of Sheba decided to visit Suleiman, peace be upon him. On her journey, she took all of her royal officials and servants. She sent a messenger to Suleiman, peace be upon him, to inform her about her visit. Prophet Suleiman, peace be upon him, decided to welcome her with the highest respect and show her the power of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Prophet Suleiman ordered some jinns to build a great hall over the water to use for glass for the floor. To surprise the queen, he asked some of the jinns who could bring the queen's throne from Yemen in a very short time. One of them said that he could bring the throne before their sitting was over. One of the good jinns brought the throne in a blink of an eye. Suleiman, peace be upon him, became very grateful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Suleiman, peace be upon him, welcomed Queen Bilqis with a big ceremony. Then Suleiman, peace be upon him, showed her throne and asked whether her throne looked like that one. She looked at it very carefully and recognized her throne. She was surprised How could it be? She realized that it must be done by a miracle. Suleiman, peace be upon him, invited her into a great hall which was on the water and the floor built by very shiny glass. The queen thought there was water on the floor, so she lifted her skirt a little to step on the floor. Suleiman, peace be upon him, informed her it was not water. It was made by solid glass. She was amazed. She never saw such things before. To see his ability and modesty, Queen Bilqis realized that Suleiman, peace be upon him, was a messenger of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. She became a Muslim by believing in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and Prophet Suleiman, peace be upon him. She told her people to do the same. Everyone followed her order and became Muslims. Then she went back there and spread Islam over there. Some historians say Prophet Suleiman, peace be upon him, married Queen Bilqis, but there's no evidence for it in the Quran and Hadith. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows the best.
MashaAllah! That was a beautiful story.
Yes, it is a really beautiful and educational story. You would feel more beauty in the story if you read the story directly from the Quran.
Where can we find this story?
You can find it in the Quran, chapter 27, verses 20 through 44. Read the story from the Quran today and let me know how you feel in the comment section below in this video. But before we go, let me tell you about Prophet Suleiman, peace be upon him's death. It was very unique, like his life. Some historians say he ruled his kingdom and guided Bani Israel for 40 years. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave him special power over jinns to teach us that jinns are not all powerful. They only have knowledge of what they see. They can't tell their future. One time he ordered some jinns to do some very big and lengthy constructions. The jinns used to be scared of Prophet Suleiman, peace be upon him, very much. One day, he stood with his stick in front of his palace to check the jinns' work. When the jinns saw Suleiman, peace be upon him, was standing and looking to them, they started to work seriously. At that time, the angel of death came and took his life. His dead body was standing with the stick. No one knew that he was dead, not even the jinns. The angel of death came and took his life. The jinns started to work day and night. After a few days, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent some ants to eat the stick which Prophet Suleiman, peace be upon him, was holding. When his stick broke, he fell on the ground. People quickly came to him and realized that he had died a very long time ago. Some historians say the most powerful king and very respectful prophet, Suleiman, peace be upon him, died at the age of 60 or 70 years old, and he was buried close to the Masjid al-Aqsa, but we do not know the exact location. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows the best. This is the end of our story for today. Inshallah, next time we will enjoy another beautiful story of the prophets.
The Prophet Stories.
Our goal is to make all of these resources available for free to anybody, anywhere. And we can do that because of your support. We are a non-profit organization. In our website, you can help us by giving us a one-time donation or becoming a monthly supporter of the whole thing. Oh, and also, don't forget to download free resources there as well.